Hello everybody, this is Joel over at ImportSauce.com, and today we are looking at another new product we just picked up. It is the Elevate rear trunk lift spoiler for the Volvo S40. Stick around. Here we are on the Elevate website, elevatecars.com. We're taking a look at the S40 rear trunk spoiler here. So there's not a lot of information as compared to some of the other products that are on the website. We're not listing any horsepower gains or torque gains or anything like that. This is in their exterior styling section, so really appearance. But what we do see here in the description is just that unique styling sets the car apart. We do have some downforce, increased stability, so as you're speeding up, it's going to add a little bit to the rear end there. It is made from a strong fiberglass and really easy to install. You're not going to use any hand tools. It's just going to be the double-sided tape on there. And this thing ships out and gets to you already ready to go. You're just going to either paint yourself or take it to your shop and have them color match it, and it will be ready to install. Other than that, the description is pretty short here. A little bit more styling. It's not interrupting the graceful line. So as we can see some of the images here, it just kind of blends in. It doesn't say, look at me, you know, like those crazy wings that you'll see people. But it does add something to the back end of the vehicle, which is in some cases just kind of flat. So, you know, this kind of perks it up a little bit. We'll just do a quick browse through here. This is silver. I liked this image because this is actually what you're going to see on the video a little bit later. Is we went with a black trunk and then went with a black lip. So, but we can see it just kind of adds a little something that seems to be missing from the back of the car. So we're going to go ahead and hop back out and follow us through the process of what we're going to be doing with our Elevate Volvo S40 rear trunk spoiler. Today we are looking at the Elevate Volvo S40 P1 rear trunk spoiler. So some of you might be saying, well, wait a minute, you already have a spoiler on there. Yes, this is the one of the factory spoiler options. We found this on a trunk at the junkyard in black. We have some other black accents. We picked it up. It was about 20-30 bucks. But we wanted to go with something that had more of a flush look. But it wasn't too thin. There's a lot of options on eBay, some really cheap stuff. And so we were looking at the one from Elevate. This one is made of fiberglass, super high quality, and we figured we would do a swap on this. So I'll let you take a quick peek and then we'll pan over what it looks like as well. This is the factory. Pull that off. We actually already had it off. And then when this is on, it's going to be flush mounted on to the back there. It's going to give it a little bit better styling look, I think. A little bit not so high. We are going to paint match this to the black, that also the fenders and some of the other trim that we have on there as well. And one thing that's important to note, if you do have this factory spoiler, and it came from the factory or was installed at your local dealer, there are three. We only have one because this came off of a junkyard car, so we weren't able to get those off. We have three. The footprint of the Elevate wing does not completely cover the third bolt hole. So if you are thinking about pulling this one off and replacing it with the Elevate, you will probably have about half of that factory hole still visible. So you need to consider that. An option is you go to the junkyard, you get a trunk that has no spoiler, same paint color, you're gonna be out the door for 30 bucks. Or if you can live with half of a hole, I don't know. One thing to note too is if you are pulling yours off, the dealer may have put some molding or some double-sided tape Recommend that you pull that off with a fishing line cut rather than getting in there and prying. We did a little bit, but it's going to be under the wing, so we're not too concerned after we clean this up. We'll sand it and buff it before this goes on. So this thing, super flimsy, super cheap. This is the dealer one. I mean, you can pretty much bend it. Let's go into the dump. This one, and this is the first exterior styling part that we did get from Elevate. This thing is very high quality. It's made of fiberglass. Unlike a lot of different trim pieces that we've had over the years for other cars, this is probably the most solid in terms of construction. I think if you tried to break it over your knee, it's not going to happen. This thing is really solid. The shape is perfect. If we put it on, we do a test fit, it lines up perfectly on both sides with the edge of the trunk, so that's going to be great. It's also important to note that there is no hardware or drilling or anything that you're going to have to do. It comes included with double-sided tape, and the double-sided tape was the good stuff, not the cheap stuff. So we're not worried about that, especially because we had it on this wing, and it took us about an hour to get that tape off, and that's already been on for a couple of years. Another thing to note is that this thing comes ready to paint. So you're going to take it to your local paint shop, or you're going to do it yourself. You're just going to get your products, you're going to go through. You don't need to do anything to this to get it ready other than paint it to match, and then double side tape, and then get that guy on. So overall quality, what can I say, as expected from Elevate. We've never gotten anything from them where we didn't expect the best and get the best. So we're really excited to get going on this. We're going to document the paint process and then the final install as well in a separate video, so if you're interested. But other than that, would I buy this again? Would I buy it for a friend if I had another car? Yes, I would definitely get this. I think it's going to look really good when we're all done. And if we finish up before we put the video up, we'll go ahead and put a picture of the final one on there as well. Okay, we are out of paint. Products we used worked great. It's covered in dust because it's been sitting here for a couple of days, but take a close look. We can see that orange peel on the paint. We are going to do a separate video on the how to get rid of that, our color sand and buff technique. So the next thing we're going to do now is, and we're going to color sand and buff it when it's on the car. That is going to, I think, be a little easier once it is stationary. So now we have the double-sided tape that was provided. We are going to put a strip down the part that mounts to the top of the trunk lid, and also strip down the back where it mounts to the back of the deck lid. So we'll go ahead and suit that up and then catch back up with you then. Okay, so we just finished putting the double-sided tape. One thing to note is I was a little worried about how it was going to sit, if there was going to be some big gaps. But if we look at it, this is the 3M. Let me see if I can peel a little off. It is extremely thin, so it's going to be very, very sticky, but it's not going to sit up or cause a gap, I think, on the lip. So we had plenty there. We went ahead and did 2 strips where it's going to meet the trunk lid top, and then 1 strip across where it's going to meet the back of the deck lid. So we'll meet you outside, and we're going to essentially just peel these 3 off and then very carefully set that on, and make sure that we can get it exactly where it lines up. Okay, so we are back outside. We have our brand new trunk. Since the last clip that we shot, pulling off our old wing, we did do some damage that we couldn't repair. So I went down to the junkyard, and earlier today we just finished a beautiful color sand and buff on this trunk that we got at the junkyard. It is black, not blue. But I think what we're going to do here is peel these strips, and I think we are going to try to get the back to line up and go on first. So we'll check our edges and push it in, and then from there we'll come down and push it down. It's kind of tricky because you got to get 2 angles to line up at the same time, and essentially once it even halfway sets down, you're not going to be able to move it. So we'll peel these off, and then we'll practice that a few times, and then we'll let you see us do it. Okay, so we are back. We have our double-sided tape backing off, ready to go. And this is going to be the tricky part, so we're going to try to line it up with our fingers on the edges. Start with the back. Oh, see, you really only have one chance here. We're going to try it like this. And maybe fold it over. This is tricky. Just go with one side. Okay, we have connection. Now I'm going to try to make sure that the tops get pressed down. Back is good. And from our experience with the previous trunk, the 3M body adhesive tape that we had used, actually so strong. That's why we had some issues getting that factory wing off. We didn't use the proper technique, and since then we have a video up on how to properly remove double-sided tape and badges. We debadged this whole trunk as well, so go check that out. And I think this guy is ready to rock, right? If I'm tugging on it, it's on there. I'm tugging, the trunk's moving, so. Now that we have this on there, we'll be able to do a nice color sand and buff. So overall, that's it. We'll go ahead and give you some final shots here. And that's it. Thing looks good. Overall, A+.